Chapter 591. On the whole tree, there were 3 fruits that ripened in a short period of time. The first one was taken by Yin Fengfeng after a long battle, and the second one was taken by Yi Chen. If he could not get the third one, it would take at least half an hour for the fourth one to ripen. Who knew what would happen in that time? Therefore, if he could get one earlier, he would try his best to get it earlier. With one fruit, his mentality would change as well. Tai Shicheng is about to go crazy. Hai Wuya leaned against a huge tree, watching with great interest. Indeed, it is time to go crazy. Yi Chen had gotten a fruit, so he was in a great mood. Next, he would only try to help Hai Wuya and the rest would have nothing to do with him. Boom! Tai Shicheng's personal battling power was indeed shocking. Without the help of the Wind and Thunder Masters, his sword intent had become even sharper. The long sword in his hand was like the sword of nature. Even though he did not manage to stab his opponent, the extended sword shadow could still pierce through his opponent's protective Zhen Yuan. If it were not for the chaos and the presence of powerful warriors like Tian Yinso and the bulky middle-aged man, he would have been killed already. The bulky middle-aged man exchanged an attack with Tai Shicheng, but he could not stand it anymore and backed out dozens of steps. Such a powerful sword power. The middle-aged man looked serious. He was a barbarian. And not only did he train his Zhen Yuan, he trained his body as well. His power was no less than 200,000 pounds. And in a head-on clash, there would be very few master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors who could push him back. Tai Shicheng was not a body-training warrior himself, but his sword art was extremely powerful. He was able to turn the sky and earth into his sword. Under that sword attack, it felt like the sky was pressing down on him, forcing him to back out. But it is impossible for me to give up on the fruit. The middle-aged man roared and rushed up again. The bronze iron stick in his hand was waved in the air, covering the whole sky with stick shadows. Mountain sword. Knowing that he had to use his ace attack, Tai Shicheng sneered as he waved out a sword attack. Boom! The mountain-like sword shadow contained the profound of the earth, which blew away Tian Yinso and the middle-aged man. Shoo! His palm sucked, and Tai Shicheng got the third fruit. Damn it, put down the longevity fruit. Tian Yinso looked extremely gloomy. He had been famous for decades, and during these decades, he had never stopped training. His power had increased by a whole level, and he was now at the peak level of late Sea of Souls realm. Theoretically speaking, he did not need the longevity fruit to increase his cultivation. However, the fruit was not only able to increase his cultivation, it could also help a dying man recover completely. It was like a life-saving medicine. Besides that, a peak-level late Sea of Souls realm warrior would need a huge amount of Zhen Yuan to reach the life and death realm. The longevity fruit was definitely the best choice. No matter which one it was, it would be enough for him to risk his life. Get lost! What Tai Shicheng performed this time was not the earth profound sword art, but the water profound sword art. As he waved out his sword, that water-like sword power was endless, continuously canceling out Tian Yinso's attack. Soon, a huge wave appeared and blew Tian Yinso away again. Then, the bulky middle-aged man could not handle Tai Shicheng's water profound sword art either. So the two had to stop and wait for the fourth fruit, which was still red in color. Earth profound, water profound, added with the heaven and earth sword art that he had performed many times before. It seems like this Tai Shicheng has trained the earth profound, which represents the earth in the world. As for the sky, it contains too many elemental profounds. Therefore, any one of them could complement the earth profound. Earth carries everything. This is not just a saying. It has a special status. Seeing Tai Shicheng perform another water profound sword movement, Yi Chen had more or less figured out Tai Shicheng's battling style. Brother Tai Shicheng, my brother was wounded badly by him. You have to take revenge for him. Seeing that Tai Shicheng had successfully gotten the third fruit, Li Feng hurried to say to Tai Shicheng. He knew that he would not be able to fight against Yi Chen, so he hoped that Tai Shicheng would be able to handle Yi Chen. Tai Shicheng glanced at Yi Chen. I will, but not now. But Li Feng still wanted to say something. Frowning, Tai Shicheng stopped him from continuing. Right now, fighting for the fruit is more important. Let's put our personal grudges aside. If it were not for Yin Fengfeng, Tai Shichong would not mind taking revenge for Li Lei right now. But he knew how powerful Yin Fengfeng was, and in fact, very few people could push her to her limit. Even people as powerful as the top 5 young warriors would not want to mess with Yin Fengfeng, because they knew that if she wanted to run away, they would not be able to stop her at all. The slightly weaker young warriors naturally knew about her speed, so they would not want to waste time with her. They would at most exchange a couple of attacks, but would not fight to the death. And the weaker ones would not be able to push her to her limit either. Therefore, a lot of people could not tell exactly how powerful Yin Fengfeng was. And Tai Shichong was no exception. It seems like Tai Shichong is not planning to take on you right now. Hai Wuya had seen the expressions on Li Feng and Tai Shichong's faces, so he said to Yi Chun with a smile. Yi Chun said lightly, "He is just afraid of Sister Yin." Yin Fengfeng was very powerful. On the surface, she seemed to be at the same level as Hai Wuya, but she was in her human form right now, not in her battling mode. Just like Sun Xiaojin, once she returned to her battling mode, her power would increase drastically. Of course, Yi Chun did not expect others to protect him either. Once he ate the fruit, his power would definitely increase drastically, and he would not need to be afraid of Tai Shichong anymore. By then, he would be able to compete with the latter. It seems like I will have to use my last ace card. Tian Yinso glanced at Tai Shichong and Yin Fengfeng, then finally glanced at the bulky middle-aged man. These 3 were not easy to mess with. Without using his ace card, the chance of getting the 4th fruit would not be more than 30%, or even lower. Humans would die for wealth, and birds would die for food. After waiting for about half an hour, the 4th longevity fruit wobbled down from the sky. "It's mine!" Tian Yinso yelled as he threw out 3 pearls that were filled with evil qi. Each time he threw out one, he felt like his heart was bleeding. Boom! 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 Before the 3 pearls landed on the ground, they had already exploded, bringing up waves of evil wind and beast roars. "It's the evil beasts!" Tai Shichong, Yin Fengfeng, and the bulky middle-aged man hurried to stop, and the rest of the people were forced to stop as well. All of a sudden, 3 extremely evil-looking beasts appeared out of nowhere. No one had seen these beasts before, and they seemed to be made up of a couple of different kinds of beasts. "What are these evil beasts?" Guan Qin asked her brother disciple. Hai Wuya explained, "The sound beasts are not living creatures. They are made with an evil secret art. First, a couple of rank 10 beasts, who had their beast power taken out, are locked in an airtight secret room and made to kill each other. Once all of the beasts are dead, a secret art is used to collect the evil qi from the beasts in the secret room and store it in the evil beast bead. Then, the bead is put into the head of another rank 10 beast, slowly devouring its soul. In the end, the beast's soul will enter the bead and naturally merge with the evil qi in the bead, making its soul even more brutal. Once it comes out, it will be able to use the earth qi and the evil qi to form its own body, which would be even more powerful than before. It would be powerful enough to kill most of the normal master level C of Soul's Realm warriors. Plus, since the body of the beast is made of the earth qi and the evil qi, it is almost immortal. No matter how hard you try to attack it, it would not be able to hurt it. So powerful, Guan Qin thought to herself. Yin Fengfeng stared at an evil beast in front of her, a cold light flashing through her eyes. The art of making evil beasts is almost lost. I wonder where he got it from. Although Yin Fengfeng had killed a lot of beasts, she was still a beast after all. She hated this kind of cruel secret art very much. Nirvana flame. As she spoke, Yin Fengfeng opened her mouth and spat out a sticky green flame with a hint of red in it. It seemed to be alive, as it wriggled a bit in the air before landing on the incoming sound beasts with a swooshing sound. Whoosh! If it were a normal flame, it would not be able to hurt the evil beast at all. But this green and red flame was like a burning fire meeting fuel. At first, it was only a small flame, but within the next second, the evil beast had already been lit up, turning into a fire beast. That creepy wail came out of the fire, but it was getting weaker and weaker. Hai Wuya forced a smile. It is not easy to train your Nirvana flame. Killing evil beasts would be such a waste. Of course, he knew that Yin Fengfeng was angry. Soul power and fire power combined perfectly. Such a magical nirvana flame. Yichen gasped. He could tell that the nirvana flame could not only burn physical objects but also souls. In other words, this kind of flame would bring about a double attack, and its destructive power would be immeasurable. No one below the life and death realm would dare to touch it, because they would be burnt instantly. However, it would be a bit difficult to use it on enemies other than the evil beasts, since it was too slow. Warriors at the same level would be able to avoid it easily. Yichen could tell that Yin Fengfeng did not have a lot of nirvana flame inside her body. She might only have one flame left, and it would be hard for her to recover. My slaughter sword intent and destruction sword intent can both kill the evil beast's soul, rendering its body useless. But since Yin Fengfeng has used the nirvana flame, I will not have to do it anymore. Facing the evil beasts, the others might not be able to do anything, but Yichen was much more relaxed, since the evil beasts were not that different from the thunder spirits. Their bodies were made of energy, and their weakness was their soul and intelligence. In comparison, the evil beast souls were much more powerful than the thunder spirits. Otherwise, Yichen would be able to kill them within a second. After burning the evil beasts, the blue and red flame that had shrunk a bit went back into Yin Fengfeng's body. On Yichen's side, nothing had happened, but the other two sides had fallen into a tough battle. Obviously, Tai Shichong and the bulky middle-aged man did not have the means to kill the evil beasts in a short period of time, so they could only fight it out. As for Tian Yinso, he had already gotten his fourth fruit. When he saw Yin Fengfeng kill his evil beast so easily, his mouth twitched a little. It is not easy to make these evil beasts of mine. I have only made 4 of them in the past decades. Once the beads are broken, the evil beasts will slowly use up their soul power and eventually disappear. I wonder if it is a loss or a gain. Tian Yinso was a bit hurt. The evil beasts were not born naturally, so they had a lot of limitations after all. Their soul power would gradually weaken and eventually disappear into nothingness. The evil beast's opponents were Tai Shichong and the bulky middle-aged man. Before they died, they would naturally not be able to kill the two. After a while, the 2 evil beasts disappeared into the wind. Tai Shichong and the bulky middle-aged man did not look too good. Battling with the evil beasts had cost a lot of their Zhen Yuan and physical strength, which was not a good sign. Chapter 592. The 5th and 6th fruits fell down almost at the same time. The ones fighting for the 5th fruit were Yin Fengfeng and Tian Yinso, while the ones fighting for the 6th one were Tai Shichong and the bulky middle-aged man. Since the 7th fruit was about to ripen as well, everyone else was waiting. It is coming down. The 7th fruit was blown away by the wind and fell straight down. Brother Hai, I will help you from the side. You try to get this fruit. Maintaining the same speed as Hai Wuya, Yichen sent a message to him. Alright, the battle between Li Lei and Yi Chun had made Hai Wuya realize that Yi Chen's power was no weaker than his, and he estimated that there was only a slight difference between them. Plus, Yi Chen's speed and insane survivability were exactly what he needed. If he had Yi Chen's help, he would have more than 50% chance of getting the fruit. Head disciple, I will help you as well. Guanqin was confident in her speed, but not in her power. Once she got the fruit, she would be attacked by the others, since not everyone would be able to survive that kind of attack. Since there were still a lot of fruits left, if her head disciple Hai Wuya could get more, then she might be able to get one as well. Alright, this fruit will be mine for sure. I will use all of my power as well. Earth-shake sky spin. Hai Wuya's body spun in the air, and an astonishing amount of water, Yuan Qi, gathered towards him. Moreover, it revolved around Hai Wuya without any pattern. Everyone knew that when an object moved violently, it would bring about a strong energy field. And when water revolved crazily without any pattern, it would cause the area within 100 meters to become a chaotic world. Anything that entered this world would have a subtle imbalance. This attack is very powerful. Yichen could sense that the air around him was filled with aggressive water Yuan Qi. The water Yuan Qi clashed with each other and merged together, changing the gravitational field of this area. What's going on? Why do I feel like the world is spinning? Even if they were Sea of Soul realm experts who could go up into the sky and down into the ground, they would still be helpless when facing the changes of the natural environment. For example, if the gravity of the natural environment was slightly out of balance, they would not be able to adapt to it. After all, they were in this world and would be restricted by the natural rules. Wuxia had messed up the gravity of this world. 1, gravity would not be a problem, and 2 would not be much of an obstacle either. But if there were too many of them, it would be extremely hard for them to counteract the obstacles of different gravity in a short period of time. The longevity fruit is mine. Everyone made mistakes, so Wuxia easily obtained the 7th longevity fruit. Bastard, so what if you can affect our balance? Can you affect the balance of our qi gene? Die! All of a sudden, except for Yi Chun Guanqin and Ling Tianhao, everyone else attacked Wuxia. Void-shattering finger. Mysterious heaven hammer. Limitless direct smash. It was impossible for Yi Chun and the other 2 to watch Wuxia being attacked together, so they each performed their ace attacks to cancel out part of the qi flow. However, Wuxia himself would not just sit and wait. The second he got the longevity fruit, he turned his body and threw out a powerful palm power. Boom! The qi flow exploded, and Wuxia was blown backward with a pale face as blood leaked out of the corner of his mouth. These people still wanted to continue attacking, but a blue fire line passed through them like a shadow. The 2 people in the front were blown away while the rest of them backed out a couple of steps as well. It was Yen Fengfeng. After getting her 2nd longevity fruit, Yen Fengfeng rushed over immediately and solved the crisis for Wuxia with twice the speed of normal people. On the other side, Tai Shichong and the bulky middle-aged man had also come to an end. The one who got the fruit was naturally Tai Shichong. One had to admit that the bulky middle-aged man was not as good at fighting for things. If the fight for the first 7 longevity fruits was intense and tragic, then the fight for the next one was crazy. Although there were dozens of longevity fruits on the longevity tree, the tree would only contribute a small portion of them. The rest would not fall off. There were examples of this in the past. After paying the price of being wounded, the bulky middle-aged man finally got the 8th fruit. The 9th fruit went to Tai Shichong, and with this one, he had already gotten 3 of them. He was indeed horrifying when he used all of his power, and even Yen Fengfeng would have to run away from him. But he was not satisfied yet. He still wanted to fight for the Li brothers, since it would be a good thing for him if they became more powerful. The 10th fruit went to Yen Fengfeng. In order to fight for this fruit, Yen Fengfeng turned back into her original form, which was a massive blue phoenix. Her whole body was covered in blue flames, and as she flapped her wings, the whole sky was filled with blue flames. Tian Yinso and the bulky middle-aged man were covered in dust. Tai Shichong frowned, but he did not try to fight for it. Brother Ling, you better wait for 1.5 years before you try to train the fruit. This fruit only has an 80% chance of helping you reach mid-Sea of Souls realm. Yen Fengfeng had already gotten 2 fruits, so she gave the 3rd one to Ling Tianhao and said. Ling Tianhao took over the fruit happily and said, "Head disciple, I know. I will only eat it when I am fully confident." If he wasted the fruit, even without Yen Fengfeng telling him, he would not forgive himself. Head disciple. Guanqin looked at Wuxia. Among the 5, she was the only one who did not have a fruit. Wuxia frowned and said, "Don't worry, there is still a chance." On the other side, Tian Yinso had already decided to leave. He did not need the fruit to increase his cultivation, since he only needed it to increase his Zhen Yuan storage. Moreover, 1 fruit could save him a couple of years of cultivation. Of course, no one would complain about having too many of them. But he also knew that there were 3 people here who were just as powerful as him. Among them, Yen Fengfeng and Tai Shichong were even slightly more powerful than him. Plus, there were so many of them. If they continued to fight, they might not be able to leave at all. Haha, you guys keep fighting. I will leave first. One had to admit that Tian Yinso was able to escape from a rank 5 martial institution and live freely for decades. He was indeed quite capable. He left without any hesitation and did not let his greed get the better of him. This guy sure runs fast. Yen Fengfeng made a face. Not far away, Tai Shichong squinted his eyes. He was planning to make Tian Inso stay after this and take his share. But Tian Inso left just like that, which was out of his expectation. As for Yi Chun, he did not plan to do anything to him right now. He had plenty of time, and he would wait until he reached Late Sea of Soul's realm before going after him. After all, Yan Fengfeng's power was not weaker than his. Speaking of which, after Li Lei was wounded, their overall power would be slightly weaker than Yan Fengfeng's side. What a cunning old fox. It would not be easy to make him suffer. The bulky middle-aged man knew what Tian Inso was thinking, so he was impressed. Later, I will perform the barbarian race god inviting great art, and take the 11th fruit. The middle-aged man was very jealous of Tai Shichong and Yin Fengfeng. Among everyone here, the two had the most fruits and he only had one. One had to admit that when the barbarian race tried their best, it was quite horrifying. No one knew what kind of secret art they had performed, but their power had increased drastically. Their small giant-like bodies were covered in black patterns, and most of the attacks from weapons would be cancelled out. Therefore, the 11th fruit landed in the middle-aged man's hand. The 12th and 13th fruit were taken by Yen Fengfeng and Tai Shichong respectively. Yen Fengfeng gave the fruit to Guanqin. Rumble. After dropping the 13 fruits, the long-life tree suddenly rose up from the ground. Its massive roots had almost flipped over half of the island, drowning it in the lake water. As for the longevity tree, it was wrapped in a red light. With a so sound, it tore through the air and flew into the depths of the savage, desolate ancient land. Soon only a red dot of light remained. The dot of light flickered a few times before disappearing without a trace. Yen Fengfeng and Tai Shichong did not chase after it, since they did not dare to offend the tree, since it had the power to kill them within seconds. Haha, this time we got more than the previous two combined. We got 6 fruits in total. Wuxia laughed. 13 fruits, they got 6, Tai Shichong got 4, the bulky middle-aged man got 2, and Tian Inso got 1. Without a doubt, they got the most, which was almost half of the total. Yi Chun said, "This kind of fortune is hard to come by." Indeed, the red light beam from the tree could only be seen within 1,000 miles. Otherwise, no one would know that there was a long life tree here. Otherwise, there would be a lot of people fighting for it, and we might not even get half of it. It would be great if we could get 2 or 3. Those who came to the savage ruin ancient place were all powerful warriors, and they were only a part of it. Perhaps there would be even more powerful master-level warriors. Yen Fengfeng, there is no winner in today's battle. Let's fight again next time. Tai Shichong did not plan to mess with Yi Chun right away, so he said with a cold tone. Yen Fengfeng said, "I will wait for you. Let's go." Tai Shichong brought Li Feng and the rest who were unwilling to give up and left. Before leaving, he glanced at Yi Chun, his gaze sharp like a sword. After Tai Shichong and the rest left, there were only the bulky middle-aged man and his people, as well as Yen Fengfeng and Yi Chun. "Let's go as well." The bulky middle-aged man did not have any conflict with Yi Chun, so he left as well. "Everyone, I would like to find a place to close up and make a breakthrough. Could you give me 1 day?" 1 day was more than enough to make a breakthrough, since it was not the same as learning the profound sense. Yi Chun looked at Yen Fengfeng and Wuxia. Yen Fengfeng said, "Yi Chun, are you confident? The fruit is not easy to get. If you waste it, it will be gone forever." "Yeah. Yi Chun, there is no rush. Let's talk about it when we are confident." Yi Chun laughed. "I do not dare to say that I am 100% confident, but I am 99% confident." His training speed was not the top, since it was related to his physical talent. In terms of making a breakthrough, not many people would be able to compete with him. His soul talent would make it easier for him to make a breakthrough. The reason why he was able to reach the Sea of Soul's realm at the age of 24 was because it was easy for him to make a breakthrough. As for accumulating Zhen Yuan, he would be able to rely on pellets or natural treasures. "Alright, 1 day is not that long. We will protect you." As they talked, the group flew toward the southeast. This was a desolate mountain range that stretched as far as the eye could see. Inside a small, inconspicuous mountain, Yi Chun was sitting with his legs crossed and training inside the hollowed-out mountain. Outside the mountain, Yin Fengfeng, Hai Wuya, and the rest were also sitting down to recover their Zhen Yuan. Chapter 593. Before they knew it, the sky had already darkened. Alright, it would be best if you do not train at night. The night here is filled with an invisible evil qi. If you are not careful, the evil qi will invade your mind and affect your mind. Yin Fengfeng was the first one to wake up from her meditation and wake the others up. Ling Tianhao said, Yi Chen is still training. Should we remind him? Hai Wuya chuckled. Do not underestimate Yi Chen. His sword intent is the scariest I have ever seen. This bit of evil qi will not affect him at all. Plus, sword artists rarely go crazy. Their sword intent can kill the invading evil qi. In the center of the mountain, such a magical fruit. Not only does it contain a huge amount of natural power, it can also nourish the body and improve the dantian. After reaching the Sea of Soul's realm, the breakthrough in the realm would also be the breakthrough in the dantian. Once the dantian was improved, the breakthrough would come naturally. As for the mind control ability, Yi Chen had never lacked it before, which was also the reason why he could reach the Sea of Soul's realm so quickly. Sensing with his mind, Yi Chen could feel that his dantian was changing. As it changed, the Zhen Yuan ocean inside was changing as well, becoming more and more pure. Every tiny bit of it had the power to pierce through mountains. If the whole Zhen Yuan ocean exploded, it would definitely be able to turn everything within dozens of miles upside down. Shoo! Shoo! As his dantian and Zhen Yuan changed, more and more impurities were smelted out, flowing into Yi Chen's right hand through his meridians. Yi Chen's right hand shone with a blue light, which was mixed with a grayish-black qi. It had a corrosive property, causing the air to sizzle. I did not expect my Zhen Yuan to have so many impurities, and they are corrosive as well. Yi Chen had thought that his Zhen Yuan was already pure enough, and even if there were impurities, there would not be many. However, he did not expect that he would still be able to refine out impurities from his pure Zhen Yuan. Moreover, these impurities were different from the impurities he had seen before. As for his dantian, it contained even more impurities, since it was the place to store Zhen Yuan. Every time he made a breakthrough, his Zhen Yuan would be purified, but there would still be some impurities hidden in the corners of his dantian. As time passed, Yi Chen's right hand was almost completely covered in that grayish-black qi, which was very frightening. If he were to battle with someone, this palm attack would be enough to wound the opponent severely. Yeah, my dantian is expanding, and my Zhen Yuan is increasing as well. I should not be too far away from the breakthrough. Sensing the change in his dantian, Yi Chen took a deep breath and continued to circulate his Zhen Yuan, speeding up the process. The next morning pop. With the short mountain as the center, the natural Yuan Qi was messed up. Then, a shocking amount of Yuan Qi gathered into a Yuan Qi flow, passing through the surface of the mountain and pouring into Yi Chen's body. Meanwhile, Yi Chen's body was like an extremely precise machine, continuously converting the Yuan Qi flow into Zhen Yuan. Breakthrough. Outside of the mountain, Yin Fengfeng and the rest could feel the natural change caused by Yi Chen. Tsk, he is indeed worthy of being able to compete with the Duguju Dantai Mingyue. Breaking through just like that. I wonder how much effort it took for me to reach mid-Sea of Soul's realm. Hai Wuya praised. Inside the empty mountain, Yi Chen slowly opened his eyes. 2 beams of cold lightning shot out, as he threw out a palm attack onto the mountain wall in front of him. Pooh! The mountain wall seemed to have decayed as it softened down. So many corrosive impurities. Yi Chen was shocked. But at least I have reached mid-Sea of Soul's realm. The amount and quality of my Zhen Yuan have increased to another level. For Yi Chen, every breakthrough was extremely precious. After reaching Sea of Soul's realm, the only thing he lacked was time. Yi Chen, you made a breakthrough? Yin Fengfeng and the other 3 walked in. Standing up, Yi Chen laughed. Not bad. I did not waste the fruit. Your breakthrough is indeed fast. It only took you half a day. Yi Chen had closed up for training yesterday afternoon, and it was already the morning of the second day. Only 14 hours had passed, and the 4 thought that it would take him until this afternoon. Sorry for making everyone wait for so long. Let's go now. There was only 1 month in a year in the savage ruin ancient place, so the savage evil chi was sparse. Moreover, as the month went on, the savage evil chi would get thicker and thicker. Although Yi Chen was not afraid, he still had to think about Guan Qin and Ling Tianhao. Since that is the case, let's go. Yan Fengfeng nodded. After a night of rest, everyone was in a good condition. The area on the map was very far away. After 3 days, Yi Chen and the other 4 finally arrived at the edge of the area. According to the map, there is a small forbidden place 300 miles ahead. It is not a small forbidden place, and it is very dangerous. But the more dangerous it is, the more rewards there will be. Yan Fengfeng opened the map and glanced at it before looking at the front. Fortune comes from danger. Since we are already here, how can we miss it? Hai Wuya laughed. Brother Hai is right. No one would complain about having more treasures. In fact, resources were sometimes more important than talent. Otherwise, why would there be so many martial geniuses in the big martial institutions? Although Yi Chen was not a disciple of a big martial institution, he had a lot of opportunities along the way. 300 miles was only a couple of breaths for the 5. This place was a massive volcano. The 5 stood on top of the volcano and looked down. It was obvious that the volcano was shockingly wide. It was more than 1,000 meters wide. If such a wide volcano were to explode, it would be a devastating disaster. There are a lot of minerals in the volcano, as well as some extreme young treasures. Yan Fengfeng was the first to enter the volcano. She was a descendant of the phoenix, so fire could not harm her at all. Instead, it could increase her battle power. Coming to the volcano was like coming home. The inside of the volcano was a massive space. The top of the volcano was more than 1,000 meters wide, and the bottom was dozens of li wide. As far as the eye could see, it was a golden lava lake. There were many huge black rocks on the surface of the lake, and on these rocks, there were some spirit plants. A few golden plants attracted Yi Chen's attention. Intense sun grass is not a precious spirit plant, but refining the shadowless poison's antidote requires it. The intense yang medicinal power can eliminate most of the poison. Shua. Flying down, Yi Chen picked a few intense sun grasses. The others also started moving. Hovering above a massive rock, Yan Fengfeng frowned. On the surface of the rock, there were some dents, which were left by harvesting the herbs. Judging from these dents, they were obviously made recently, as the edges and corners were very clear. Someone has been here. Yan Fengfeng came to a conclusion. Indeed, someone has been here. But there is not even a single upper-grade fire cloud stone. Only some mid-grade and below. Hai Wuya was greatly disappointed. Fire cloud stone was an extremely precious spirit stone, containing a powerful flame power. Normally, it would be formed in volcanoes. However, ordinary volcanoes only had low-grade fire cloud stones. Mid-grade fire cloud stones would take at least several thousand years to form, and upper-grade fire cloud stones could only be found in volcanoes that had existed for tens of thousands of years. A huge battle took place here. Ling Tianhao found traces of battle on the inner walls of the volcano. Bad luck, let's go somewhere else. Yan Fengfeng flew out. Half a day later, Yan Fengfeng's face was unsightly. All the forbidden areas on the map have been entered by someone, and it was only recently. What a coincidence. Hai Wuya revealed a doubtful expression. Sucking in a deep breath, Yan Fengfeng said, "The other party should have a map just like me." She had already thought it through. The person who had sold her the map must have made a lot of copies. Although hers was the original, it did not make much of a difference. Yi Chen thought for a bit and said, "If we search the forbidden areas in order, we will only be one step behind the others. In my opinion, we should choose the furthest forbidden area first." Yi Chen is right. Hai Wuya's eyes shone. That's the only way. Yan Fengfeng felt that this method was feasible. Haha, no one has been to these forbidden areas indeed. Brother Yi is indeed smart. On top of a mine, Hai Wuya looked at the precious ores and spirit plants growing along with them, and could not help but laugh. Starting from the furthest forbidden area, the 5 explored several forbidden areas. The forbidden areas of the savage ancient place were indeed dangerous. But with the 5 working together, There was no situation they could not deal with. Each of them had a bountiful harvest. I have already found more than half of the materials for the shadowless poison. Perhaps I can get more. The shadowless poison was one of the most mysterious poisons in the world. Even life and death realm warriors could not cure it. It was not hard to imagine how rare and precious the materials for the antidote would be. After sweeping through this forbidden area, the five flew toward another forbidden area. 1,000 miles away, there was a huge underground cave, and one could faintly hear the roar of a dragon coming from it. Outside the cave, colorful yuan qi gathered into the shape of a dragon, circling and soaring. It was a grand scene. Many demonic beasts rushed into the cave. But soon, miserable cries rang out and stopped abruptly. Shoo! Shoo! A group of people flew over. Such a rich dragon qi. This place must be a dragon cave. This group of people was indeed the Sky Tiger race's Machi Lu, and the blue-eyed white wolf Ao family's Ao Wubai, and the rest of them that Yen Fengfeng, and the other four had met on their way to the savage ruin ancient place. Machi Lu chuckled. There are a lot of dragon blood plants in the ruins, which are quite beneficial for us demi-beasts. If we can get the dragon bone jade marrow, it would be even better. Ao Wubai said. After so many years, the dragon bone jade marrow would have turned into fossils already. Although the chance is small, it is not impossible. Let's go in. Machi Lu could sense that there were a lot of powerful beasts in the cave. He immediately activated his Zhen Yuan, and a fierce tiger shadow appeared behind him. It had a pair of wings on its back, and its pupils were golden color. A blue-eyed white wolf shadow appeared behind Ao Wubai as well. Obviously, it was even more powerful than the warriors from the Ao family that Yi Chen had met before. It was even 4 to 5 times bigger, and there was no emotion in its blue eyes. As for the few people behind them, they were all demi-beasts as well. They all activated their bloodline shadows. Some of them were bears and some were eagles. After half an hour, another group of people arrived. It was Yi Chen and the other 4. Dragon Qi. It is the dragon cave. Yen Fengfeng and Yi Chen were the first to sense the dragon qi in the sky. Chapter 594. Entering the cave, the 5 once again discovered that someone had entered first, and not too long before them. TSK, the strength of the newcomer is not weak at all. This is a fire dragon wolf, but it was killed in one claw attack. Even its skull was smashed. Hai Wuya squatted down and carefully identified the dead demonic beast. Fire dragon wolf, a demonic wolf with dragon bloodline. Everyone be careful. The dragon qi here is extremely viscous, greatly weakening the detection of soul power. Yen Fengfeng's brows creased. Her soul power could only radiate out several hundred meters, and it was not a perfect circle, but rather irregular. Let's go this way. 2 forks appeared in front of them. One of the forks led for 1,000 meters, and there were a few demonic beast corpses. Yi Chen didn't want to encounter the group of people in front so early, so he chose the other fork. Roar! Indeed, no one had passed through this fork, and a thorn dragon lizard darted out. Courting death. Yen Fengfeng's right hand was wreathed in blue flames, turning into a huge green jade phoenix claw, which tore off the lizard's head. Don't judge a book by its cover. Yen Fengfeng looks noble and charming in her human form, but when she attacks, she is incomparably brutal. But it makes sense. Blue Phoenix is a demonic beast, and demonic beasts are more aggressive than humans. Yi Chen glanced at the lizard's corpse and smiled bitterly. The dragon cave was filled with dragon qi, and some powerful demonic beasts occupied this place, gradually absorbing the dragon qi and evolving the dragon bloodline. With the dragon bloodline, one's cultivation level wouldn't increase, but their battle prowess would increase. There were also some demonic beasts that already had the dragon bloodline, and they were like tigers that had grown wings. Continuing forward for 7 to 8 li, an extremely oppressive dragon-clawed demonic cow blocked in front of the 5. Its eyes were filled with a bloody light, looking ruthless and cruel. It could sense a trace of dragon power in Yi Chen's body, and Yen Fengfeng was even more powerful, as she had the pure blue phoenix power inside her body. If it could eat the 2 of them, its power would definitely reach the next level. and it would have a chance to become a half-step demonic beast king. Dragon Claw Demonic Cow. I didn't expect to see it here. It's almost extinct outside. Unfortunately, the difficulty of taming a demonic beast with the bloodline of a dragon is much higher than other demonic beasts. Otherwise, I would have to injure it severely and bring it out of the savage, desolate ancient land. To tame a demonic beast, it was usually tamed from a young age. It was almost impossible to tame a demonic beast that had the bloodline of a dragon. So far, no one had ever heard of anyone successfully taming a demonic beast with the bloodline of a dragon. Roar! The dream-eating wolf barked in the familiar beast's plate. It was more interested in the dragon claw demon cow than the thorny dragon lizard. The latter had only absorbed dragon energy and evolved the dragon bloodline. The former itself contained the dragon bloodline, and even its hooves had turned into dragon claws. The dragon claw devil cow was not easy to deal with. Seriously speaking, no one present was its opponent, but with 5 people joining forces, the dragon claw devil cow could only be beaten. Nirvana Flame! Yin Fengfeng turned into her blue phoenix form and spat out a mouthful of blue-red flame, hitting the dragon claw demonic bull's head. Poochie! The dragon claw demon cow's terrifying defense was burned through, and part of its brain was burnt. Endless Vitality! Holding the Thunder Disaster Sword, Yi Chen struck the dragon claw demonic bull's chest for the 12th time. The sword tip pierced deeply, piercing through its heart. The dragon claw demonic bull's vitality was extremely tenacious. Before its death, its huge dragon claw waved at Yi Chen, locking down the space around it. Break! His left index finger pointed at the frozen void, and Yi Chen pierced through it, avoiding the claw attack. Missing its target, the dragon claw demonic bull's vitality was completely exhausted, and it fell to the ground. This demonic bull deserves to die. It actually wounded me so badly. Among the 5, Yi Chen, Yin Fengfeng, and Hai Wuya were engaged in close combat with the dragon claw demonic bull, while Ling Tianhao and Guan Qin were assisting from afar. Yin Fengfeng's speed was unparalleled, so the dragon claw demonic bull naturally couldn't do anything to her. Yi Chen's dodging ability was also outstanding, allowing him to narrowly avoid every attack. Hai Wuya, on the other hand, was not so lucky. The dragon claw demonic bull's claw landed on his chest. If not for Yin Fengfeng's timely assistance, this claw would have ripped out all of his ribs and shattered all of his internal organs. Fortunately, I got a Heaven Yuan white fruit earlier. Otherwise, I would have no choice but to return home. Sucking in a cold breath, Hai Wuya swallowed a chicken egg-sized white fruit. This Heaven Yuan white fruit was originally meant to save his life in the future, and he was really reluctant to use it. However, compared to the treasures in the Dragon Cave ruins, it was necessary to give up a Heaven Yuan white fruit. After a quarter of an hour, Hai Wuya was completely healed, and the 5 continued forward. That green-scaled draconic lion was really scary. It took the 6 of us to work together to kill it. In another cave, a half-beast young man said with lingering fear. Machi Lu said, the green-scaled draconic lion was indeed powerful, but unfortunately it was facing us. The green-scaled draconic lion's battle power was even higher than the dragon claw demonic cows, and the cow-type demonic beast's battle talent was still weaker than the lion-type demonic beasts. After not seeing each other for a few months, Brother Machi's heavenly tiger bloodline has become even purer. I'm afraid it's not far from completion. Ao Wubai and Machi Lu were partners, but also competitors. In the battle with the green-scaled draconic lion just now, the scene of Machi Lu smashing the latter's head with one claw was extremely terrifying. Ao Wubai guessed that Machi Lu's strength might be a bit higher than his. Of course, in a battle of life and death, it was still uncertain who would win. Machi Lu smiled and said, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been able to do anything to it. If I'm not wrong, you've already condensed a trace of the blue-eyed white wolf's power. With that you can transform into a werewolf in a short time. Hihi, isn't Brother Machi the same? The ultimate form of a half-beast was to transform into a half-beast. Half-human, the other half-demonic beast. This way their battle power would be at its peak. After a while, 2 more forks appeared in front of the 6. So many forks, were almost 100 li underground. Yi Chen's side was also faced with many choices, so they could only follow their instincts. Forks after forks, choices after choices. Unknowingly, the 5 of them had reached even deeper underground. There were no more forks in front of them, only a vast underground world. This world contained many ferocious phenomena. There was underground magma, bone-corroding poisonous water, bone-scraping divine winds, and flocks of blazing dragon birds flying in the sky. This magma is a bit special. Blaze dragon birds never come to this side. Wuxia sensed something strange. Swish. Yi Chen flicked his hand and shot out a piece of iron fragment. It was as fast as light, but once it reached the magma river, it immediately fell down and melted into ashes. Super strong gravity. Yi Chen frowned. It is just magma. What kind of magma could break through our protective Jun Yuan? Ling Tianhao did not care at all. Yan Fengfeng glanced at Ling Tianhao. Brother Ling, if you had come here alone, you would have most likely died here. This lava is not normal lava, and it is not even lava at all. It is the dragon flame formed by the fire power after being highly compressed. Dragon flame? Yi Chen and the other 3 were shocked. Yan Fengfeng explained, dragons are the legendary beasts, and most of them can breathe fire, which is the dragon flame. Once a bit of it is diluted, it can turn into a sea of fire. In terms of pure destructive power, even my phoenix ancestor would not be able to compete with it. This is the natural power of dragons. This is indeed horrifying. Everyone was clear that even the most gentle water could explode with horrifying power after being compressed, not to mention the dragon flame. Then how do we get there? Guanqin tilted her head and asked. Yan Fengfeng chuckled. You guys have forgotten that my original form is a blue phoenix. The fire power will not harm me at all. Although the dragon flame is horrifying, it is not from the mouth of a dragon. There are some differences between the two. I will bring you guys over. As she spoke, she jumped into the air, turning into a massive blue phoenix. Her whole body was covered in blue flames, looking very noble and powerful. Come on. Under normal circumstances, Yan Fengfeng would not carry anyone. But now was an exception. Hearing her, the 5 jumped onto the blue phoenix's back. Shoo! Yan Fengfeng flapped her wings and flew toward the other side of the lava river. On the way, Yan Fengfeng could not resist the attraction of the lava river and was forced to fly close to it. That horrifying dragon flame and blue flame cancelled each other out, and nothing happened. Soon the 5 arrived at the other side of the magma river. 500 miles away from here, Machi Lu and Ao Wubai were also blocked by the magma river, unable to move forward. It is just a magma river. Watch me. The half-beast teenager with the massive black eagle on his back extended his body and flew out at an extreme speed, wanting to reach the other side in one breath. Before he could reach the center of the magma river, the half-beast teenager fell straight down and was burned into nothingness by the magma river. His voice stopped abruptly. Impossible. What kind of magma is this? Apart from Machi Lu, Ao Wubai, and the other 3 turned pale with fright. A pondering expression flickered in Machi Lu's eyes. It can't be the dragon flame, right? Machi Lu thought of something and blurted out. Brother Machi, does the dragon flame you mentioned have something to do with dragons? Not many people knew about the dragon flame. After all, dragons were demonic beasts of legends, and most people had only read about them in ancient books. Machi Lu said, the dragon flame is the most powerful flame power. Its destructive power is not inferior to the phoenix flame. A trace of the dragon flame is enough to burn all of us into ashes. Then we can only watch from here? Everyone understood that there must be treasures in front of them. Who would want to be blocked outside? Frowning, Machi Lu said, I don't know how long this dragon flame has existed. Its power is certainly not as strong as before. Let's see how powerful its destructive power is first. Machi Lu took out an upper-grade artifact from his storage ring and threw it into the magma river. Swoosh! The upper-grade artifact that even Sea of Soul Realm experts couldn't destroy melted at a visible speed, turning into ashes in the blink of an eye. Seeing this scene, everyone held their breaths. A blink of an eye is enough for us to borrow power. But according to the width of the magma river, we'll have to waste 5 upper-grade artifacts each. Let's go all out. You can't catch the wolf without risking it. Right. There must be some rare treasures inside. We can't miss it. As one of the top geniuses of the Sky Martial region, the 5 had quite a bit of wealth. They didn't lack upper-grade artifacts. Of course, they would definitely feel heartache. Even if they couldn't use them, they could still be sold for hundreds of thousands of upper-grade spirit stones. Just like that, the 5 smoothly crossed the magma river. Chapter 595. Damn it! These crazy birds. Just after crossing the lava river, Machi Lu and the other 4 were attacked by a group of crazy flaming dragon birds. After breaking through the blazing dragon birds' encirclement, a black river blocked their way. This black river was like ink, and it was extremely dense. When the wind blew past, it didn't even cause a ripple. On the shore there were a few white bone boats. The river is poisonous. Get on the boat. Machi Lu saw an injured flaming dragon bird fall into the river with his own eyes. When Machi Lu and the other 4 got on the boat, Yi Chen and the rest had already reached the center of the river. I did not expect that there would be white bone boats on this bone-corroding poison river. So thoughtful. These flaming dragon birds are also staring at us, not daring to come down. The 5 picked 2 boats. Yin Fengfeng, Ling Tianhao, and Guan Qin were on one boat while Yi Chen and Hai Wuya were on the other. Yi Chen laughed. They are afraid of the bone-corroding poison water. Once touched by a little bit, they would be completely destroyed. Therefore, they do not dare to get close to the river. Why do I feel like these flaming dragon birds are whispering to each other? Hai Wuya glanced at the flaming dragon birds in the sky and frowned. Boom! Just as Hai Wuya finished speaking, an extremely malevolent black crocodile appeared on the surface of the black river near the boat. This was the poison dragon crocodile. It was incomparably venomous, and anyone who was poisoned by it could not be saved. For some reason, it did not ram the white bone boat. Gold resonant radiant sword. Yi Chen's reaction shocked Hai Wuya. The second the black crocodile jumped out of the water, a slightly wide sword-shaped light wave shot out like a crescent moon. It was indeed Yi Chen who had waved the sword. Swoosh. The poison dragon crocodile's defense was not that high, way weaker than the other crocodile-type beasts. After being beheaded by one sword attack, its tense body fell down hard, the black river corroding its body through the wound. Before Yi Chen could let out a breath, more poison dragon crocodiles jumped out, shooting out black venom toward the 2 from all directions. Rise! Hai Wuya circulated his Zhen Yuan, wanting to lift the white bone boat into the air. However, it was as if the white bone boat had taken root, sticking to the river and not moving at all. Hai Wuya finally understood why the poison dragon crocodile didn't knock the boat over. It turned out that for some unknown reason, the boat could only move forward and backward. It was impossible to knock it over. Boundless 4 directions. Seeing that the boat was unable to rise, Hai Wuya spun around and sent out a palm strike in all directions. The palm winds condensed into a wall, blocking the poison outside. Yi Chen did not stay idle either. His sword-shaped light wave shot out along the surface of the river. When he had reached the mid-sea of Soul's realm, he had a sudden inspiration, and his gold profound had reached the next level. It had pushed his gold resonant radiance sword art beyond its limit, reaching 110% completion. It had already deviated from its original form, and was slowly evolving into a light wave. Yi Chen knew that it was because his sword attack was at a low level, while his gold profound was at a high level. But of course, no matter what, his gold resonant radiance sword art was indeed much more powerful than before. Puff! 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 The light wave flashed once, and one after another, the poison dragon crocodiles sank into the river. On the other side, Yin Fengfeng used her blue phoenix fire to cover the white bone boat, while using her palm blade to attack the crocodiles, looking just as easy. The main character is here. The black river that had not been moving at all started to have huge bubbles. The surface of the river was filled with swirls, making a loud noise. Boom! Within the black water column that shot into the sky, a poison dragon crocodile with a wriggling body jumped out of the water. It looked like a flood dragon, but not a crocodile. Its body was extremely long, looking like a combination of a flood dragon and a crocodile. On its tail, there was even a row of thorns. Pap! The air had been ripped apart. This poison dragon crocodile waved its tail, attacking toward Yi Chen's boat in the air. Get the fuck back. Hai Wuya liked to fight head-on. He flipped his right hand and threw out a palm attack. His palm power was as powerful as ocean waves. Boom! A loud sound was heard as the poison dragon crocodile's tail and Hai Wuya's palm were locked in a stalemate. Break! Yi Chen seized the opportunity and pointed his finger at the crocodile's eye, piercing through it. Who? The poison dragon crocodile was extremely furious, so it lifted up its hind leg that was closest to Yi Chen. Its sharp claws shone with a cold light as it attacked over. Crossing the two swords in front of each other, Yi Chen blocked out the claw attack of the crocodile leader, while throwing back a thunderball. Phoenix Peck. Yen Fengfeng's right hand turned into a blue jade phoenix claw. The tip of the claw closed together, and a beam of flame shot out, piercing through the crocodile's other eye. Without both of its eyes, the poison dragon crocodile had a lot of battling power, but it could not use it to its full potential. Soon, it escaped into the Black River and disappeared. After crossing the Black River, the five reached the shore. In front of him was a gray gale. It was extremely dense, carrying a faint gray crystal silk. Yi Chen threw out a top-rank artifact, which was immediately riddled with holes. Fortunately, it did not shatter. There are not a lot of gray crystal strings here. If we are careful, we should be fine. The five of them glanced at each other, then rushed into the gale. Inside the Black River. I did not expect this level to be so much easier than the lava river. There are only some weak defensive poison dragon crocodiles. Machi Lu and the other four thought that they would run into more danger, so they were very nervous. But they did not expect that they would make it to the other side without any danger. Getting on the shore, the five observed the wind for a while before jumping in as well. Be careful. There are wind spirits inside. Just then, countless wind blades attacked toward Yin Fengfeng, but she dodged them with her extreme speed. Within the intense wind, there seemed to be a human figure with a similar color to the wind. The human figure seemed to be floating in the air, seeming to have merged with the wind, making it hard to be seen. Yin Fengfeng was about to perform her nirvana flame, when a powerful destructive sword intent spread out in all directions. The wind spirits that were close to it shrieked before their bodies disappeared. The ones that were further away had their bodies turn blurry as they tried to escape, not daring to get close to the five at all. This sword intent, it has the destructive will. Yin Fengfeng and the other three looked at Yi Chen with surprise. Yi Chen was the nemesis of this kind of natural life form. His peak level rank 4 destruction sword intent was equivalent to peak level rank 5 normal sword intent. Added with the special destruction element, it would not be hard for him to kill those wind spirits. The five continued to move forward, and soon, they passed through the wind zone. Gasp! Lifting their eyes, the five of them gasped at the same time. In their line of sight, there was a huge skeleton. The skeleton's body was wriggling like a python, coiled into a circle. Its huge head was slightly raised, and there were 2 antlers on its head. An invisible pressure was emitted from the skeleton, making it difficult for the 5 of them to even breathe. It is a dragon skeleton. Yin Fengfeng mumbled to herself. This pressure, it should be a pure dragon aura, right? It is even more horrifying than the ice flood dragon's aura. Even my Zhen Yuan circulation is restricted. Yi Chen tried his best to push his Zhen Yuan, and the dragon power filled up his body, canceling out the pressure brought by the dragon aura. A dragon that has been dead for God knows how many years can bring out this much pressure? I wonder how powerful it would be when it was alive. Look, there are dragon blood plants everywhere. There are at least dozens of them. Guan Qin's breathing accelerated. The dragon blood plant was a top rank plant that would only appear in places that had been soaked in dragon blood. It contained the dragon blood, and after being trained, it could form a beam of dragon power, which would strengthen the body. Training dozens of dragon blood plants would increase the dragon power quite a lot. which would allow them to have the same power as body training warriors. Maybe there is dragon bone jade marrow in the dragon bones. After refining the dragon bone jade marrow, it can also strengthen the physique. It can also form a thin layer of dragon bone defense on the surface of the body, greatly increasing the defensive power. In terms of value, the dragon bone marrow was even more valuable than the dragon blood plant. It was a semi-extreme rank item, but it would not be easy to block out this dragon aura. The dignity of the dragon could not be challenged, and the will of the dragon was even more unpredictable. After the dragon died, although its body would become very weak, the dragon aura that it gave off would not be weak at all. It was the proof of its power when it was alive. Haha, there really are dragon bones here. And so many dragon blood plants. Losing 5 top-rank weapons is nothing. 1 or 2 dragon blood plants would be enough to make up for it. 5 human figures appeared out of the wind. Machi Lu and Ao Wubai, who were leading the group, could not help but laugh out loud. The other 3 held their breaths as well, greed written all over their faces. Yin Feng Feng, give me some face and leave this place. I Machi Lu will owe you a favor. Machi Lu was afraid of Yin Feng Feng the most, so he tried to negotiate. Yin Feng Feng turned her head. How much is your favor worth? I don't need it. Ao Wubai took a step forward. What if I join in? Offending the Sky Tiger race, and my blue-eyed white wolf family at the same time. I believe you will make the right choice. What? You want us to leave with just a few words? Do you think we are idiots? Hai Wuya mocked. Hai Wuya, I will remember this. Once we get out, I will beat you to death. Ao Wubai's pupils were like a wolf's, looking very dangerous. Beat me to death. Hai Wuya laughed out of anger. Brother Hai, no need to waste time with him. This place is a good place to bury them. After his breakthrough, Yi Chen had not had the chance to test it out with someone yet. He really wanted to know if his extreme battling power could kill demi-beast martial geniuses at this level. Yes, bury them. Hai Wuya revealed a killing intent. Brat, I have never seen you before. But just because of what you have said today, there will be no place for you to live anymore. Even Yin Feng Feng will not be able to protect you. Come out now, and I will leave you with a whole body. A blue-eyed white wolf shadow appeared behind Ao Wubai's back, waving its massive wolf tail. You! Yi Chen turned around to face him. Ao Wubai chuckled lightly. Which family or martial institution are you from? Do you have the guts to tell me? Within 3 months, I will kill your whole family. I, Ao Wubai, am a man of my words. Unfortunately, you will not be able to see that day. Today, I will beat you to death before wiping out your family and martial institution. Shoo! Ao Wubai stomped on the ground and threw out a fist attack toward Yi Chen. Behind him, the blue-eyed white wolf shadow was huge, adding power to his attack. Chapter 596. Brother Yi, be careful. Ever since Yi Chen had reached the mid-sea of Soul's realm, Hai Wuya had no idea how powerful Yi Chen was anymore. All he knew was that Yi Chen's power was definitely not weaker than his. As for how much more powerful it was, he would have to observe further. Plus, Ao Wubai was not that easy to deal with either. 8 Wild Wolf Fist. Ao Wubai's movement was very weird, just like a wolf. He waved his fist, and that aggressive fist wind turned into a hungry wolf that rushed out. It roared into the sky with a strange magical power, as if a full moon had appeared in the sky. Wolf will. Oh right, this guy has the bloodline of the blue-eyed white wolf in him after all. An extremely penetrating yell was heard as Yi Chen jumped out of the ground. His Zhen Yuan, which was a level higher, exploded all of a sudden as he stabbed his sword into the head of the wolf. Wolf Shadow Jump. Ao Wubai did not even bother to look at the result of his fist attack. His body jumped, disappearing right in front of Yi Chen's eyes. Then, shadows appeared one after another. At first, they were Ao Wubai's shadows, but later on, they turned into wolf shadows. It seems like Ao Wubai did not underestimate his opponent at all. He had even performed his wolf shadow jump. Yin Feng Feng, I will ask you again. Are you leaving or not? I admit that you are very powerful, but your partner might not be. Machi Lu looked at Yin Feng Feng with confidence. I believe that they will not lose. A bright blue flame appeared behind Yin Fengfeng's back, looking like a pair of massive fire wings. Both of her hands had turned into massive green jade phoenix claws. The claws looked very thin, not as thick as the dragon claws or tiger claws. But that sharp arc was enough to shock Machi Lu, all right. Since you are so stubborn, then I will save my breath. Everyone, let's go. Whoever kills their opponent first, I will give him more of the dragon blood plant. Roar. Screech. The demi-beasts had the characteristics of the beasts. When they went crazy, they would be extremely brutal. Under the stimulation of the dragon blood plant, they all rushed at their opponents excitedly. Machi Lu, when we fought 3 years ago, you were defeated by me. I wonder how much progress you have made now. Yin Fengfeng's speed was unparalleled. With only one step, she had already arrived in front of Machi Lu. Her indestructible green jade phoenix claw waved upwards, wanting to take off Machi Lu's head. 3 years ago, I lost to you in a single move. Today, I'll make you pay me back double. Machi Lu's hands had turned into platinum tiger claws. The tiger claws were sparkling and translucent, as if they had been forged from the finest and purest metal. They were full of texture, while the tiger claws were like profound iron, their thickness and sharpness enough to make one's scalp go numb. The first impression that these tiger claws gave off was that they were born to slaughter. Dang! Machi Lu blocked Yin Fengfeng's attack with a claw attack. Phoenix peck. Yin Fengfeng retracted her other blue claw and pecked at Machi Lu's eyes. Tiger God Whip. A white light flashed, and a couple meters long white gold tiger tail swung out from Machi Lu's back, whipping at Yin Fengfeng's wrist. This Machi Lu even grew a tiger tail. Alright! Yin Fengfeng's eyes were burning as she backed out. The pair of fire wings on her back attacked from both sides, reaching out dozens of meters. Shoo! 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 That sharp claw shadow appeared from time to time as Ao Wubai pushed his movement and attack speed to a higher level. Ting! Ting! Yichen controlled his step art to be within one step. Within that one step he turned and moved. The Thunder Disaster sword in his hand was like a poisonous snake, clashing with Ao Wubai's claw shadow. Speed against speed, still unable to do anything to him? Shoo! The wolf shadow disappeared, and Ao Wubai's body appeared. It seems like I have underestimated you. But this is good as well. Otherwise, the situation would be too boring. Now it is time for the main course, the bloodline bonding. Roaring into the sky, the blue-eyed white wolf shadow behind him merged with his body. His head and face started to grow longer, and his fangs started to pop out. White fur started to grow on his body. Following the back of his neck, the muscles on his back started to expand as well. Then it was his arms, then his stomach, and then his legs. His clothes were torn apart instantly. Within the blink of an eye, Ao Wubai had turned into a werewolf standing upright. His body was covered in white fur, and his chest muscles were piled up together. Both of his arms and legs were extremely long, and that fluffy wolf tail was swinging back and forth full of wild power. Such a powerful power. Every time the bloodline bonding happens, I feel so good. Unfortunately, it is only 15 minutes. But it is more than enough to take care of you. Die! Leaning his body forward, Ao Wubai's speed was pushed to its limit as his right wolf claw reached toward Yi Chen's heart. It was so fast that only a white line could be seen. So fast. It was the first time Yi Chen had seen a demi-beast transformation. Speed sword hell. The Thunder Disaster sword disappeared, and in front of Yi Chen, the sword light was everywhere. Break for me. Ao Wubai broke through the sword light blockade and attacked with his claw. Swoosh! Yi Chen took a couple of steps to the side, and a crack appeared on his right shoulder, exposing the shining gold armor. You can't dodge it. Ao Wubai turned around and threw out a powerful right leg. His foot claw was not any weaker than his hand claw. It was also extremely sharp, and it had the advantage of length. Dang! Yi Chen blocked out with his sword while his whole body backed out. Tisk tsk. Your reaction is quite fast. But how long can you last? After transforming into a werewolf, my speed and power have reached an explosive stage. Moreover, the angrier I am, the stronger I become. This is a power that far surpasses that of a human. Shoo! Ao Wubai disappeared once again, and when he reappeared, He was already 10 steps behind Yi Chen. Sparks appeared on the Thunder Disaster Sword as Yi Chen took half a step to the side. If it were not for the vague claw shadow in front of him, no one would know that they had exchanged an attack. Impossible. I dodged it. That was even faster than before. The smile froze on his face as Ao Wubai's pupils shrunk as he stared at Yi Chen. Yi Chen said lightly, "Even if you were twice as fast, you would not be able to hurt me." If Yen Fengfeng's speed was unparalleled at the Sea of Souls realm, then in terms of reaction, observation and coordination, Yi Chen would be unparalleled as well. No one would be able to hurt him with speed, unless it was a head-on battle. On the other side, Yin Fengfeng and Ma Qilu were still battling. Yin Fengfeng laughed. "I told you they would not lose." In fact, Yi Chen's performance had shocked her quite a bit as well. After Ao Wubai had turned into a werewolf, his short-distance movement speed was not that much slower than hers. And yet, Yi Chen was able to turn his body to the side and block all of a sudden. In other words, even if it was her, she would not be able to get the upper hand with speed. So what? Even if speed does not get the upper hand, the difference in power is like heaven and earth. Ma Qilu started to pay more attention to Yi Chen. This guy's power might be similar to Hai Wuya's, but his overall power was surprisingly high. Speed did not work on him at all. Wolf Rush, exploding teeth. Knowing that pure speed would not work on Yi Chen, Ao Wubai decided to fight head-on. Of course, speed was still the key, but he had added more power. Boom! Ao Wubai's hand claws were extremely fast, forming a white line. Looking over, it looked like a massive wolf's fang, attacking at Yi Chen's head-on. Boom! A cluster of sawtooth, sword-shaped light wave welcomed the incoming attack. The two passed by each other. A swirl chi flow appeared in the air between the two. Wolf Rush, double exploding teeth. Turning around, Ao Wubai ran toward Yi Chen again. His two claws, one in front and one in the back, looked like the fangs of a massive wolf. The Thunder Disaster Sword was thrown out first, the gold sword attacking upward. The two swords intersected, forming a perfect cross-shaped sword light, blocking the two fangs. Die! Ao Wubai kicked out with his knee. Thunderbird transformation. The Thunder Disaster Sword suddenly left his hand, as Yi Chen formed a fist with his right hand, throwing out a flying bird thunder light attack on Ao Wubai's chest. Boom! Ao Wubai was blown out backward. How could you be faster than me? Ao Wubai puked out a mouthful of blood as he said in disbelief. It is not that I am faster than you. It is that you have not gotten used to this extreme speed and power yet. You have suddenly gained power, and you cannot control it completely. Plus, I had already noticed that your movements were not coordinated, and were a bit out of shape. When a person suddenly gained a power that was a couple times more powerful, they would not be able to control it properly, and would not be able to turn that power into real power. Facing Yi Chen, any small mistake would be fatal. After a couple of rounds of battling, Yi Chen had soon found out his opponent's mistake. The moment his opponent's movement changed, Yi Chen knew that the killing attack was coming, so he attacked first. Void-shattering finger. The fist that had been thrown out reached out an index finger, which shone with a bright light. A huge blue finger pressed onto Ao Wubai's chest. Pop! Ao Wubai's chest was badly mutilated as he crashed into that dark wind. Ao Wubai has lost. Ma Qilu, who was battling with Yin Fengfeng, was shocked. He was accidentally kicked in the stomach by Yin Fengfeng, and the blue flame exploded. Retreat! Puking out a mouthful of blood, Ma Qilu yelled out angrily. The other three saw what had happened, and knew that the situation was hopeless. The most powerful ones, Ma Qilu and Ao Wubai, were both wounded. If they stayed, it would be suicide. So one after another, they ran into the wind despite their injuries. Hai Wuya and the other two could not stop them at all. You want to run? Yin Fengfeng pushed her speed to its limit as she chased after them. Heaven Tiger roar. Ma Qilu roared, and the Heaven Tiger shadow behind him roared as well. Time seemed to have stopped, and the space shook. Shoo! In that short second, it was enough for Ma Qilu to escape. He disappeared into the wind within a blink of an eye. Heaven Tiger roar. It contains the willpower attack. Yin Fengfeng stopped chasing. These demi-beasts are so hard to deal with. Wuxia walked over and shook his head helplessly. The other three, he had chosen the most powerful one, and he had been winning. But his opponent was extremely tough, and he would not be able to beat him within a short period of time. Plus, all of the demi-beasts had some weird powers. Yin Fengfeng said. Killing one or two of them would be meaningless. Yeah, Yichen nodded. If it were only Ao Wubai, he would let the dream-eating wolf come out and kill him together. But there were 5 of them, and it would be impossible to kill them all. If one escaped, it would be troublesome. Therefore, it would be either not kill them or kill them all. Otherwise, if he killed one Ao Wubai, he would be attacked by the Ao family, which would be quite troublesome. Chapter 597. Alright, no matter what, this victory belongs to us. And the dragon blood plants here belong to us as well. Yin Fengfeng turned her head and looked at the plants near the dragon bones, then said seriously, but before we split the plants, I would like to state the rules. Nothing can be accomplished without rules. If a team wants to exist, then it has to be fair. What is fair? It is very simple. It will be split according to how much effort you put in. If you put in more effort, you will get more. And if you put in less effort, then you will get less. If we split it evenly, then it would be the biggest unfair. The longevity fruit was an exception. Sometimes we can talk about friendship, but of course, it is only occasionally. Looking over at Ling Tianhao and Guanqin, Yin Fengfeng continued, you two have put in the least effort. Therefore, you two can only get 20% of the total. Head sister, I am fine with it. Me too. Ling Tianhao and Guanqin knew that they had put in the least effort, so it would be great if they could get 10% each. If it were the other teams, they would not even get 10%. As for the remaining 80%, I will get 20%. Yin Fengfeng, you and Yichen will get 30% each. Wuxia took the initiative to suggest the battle between Yichen and Ao Wubai, letting him know that Yichen had already surpassed him, and was not that much weaker than Yin Fengfeng. Compared to Yin Fengfeng, Yichen still had a couple of advantages, such as his powerful destruction sword intent, horrifying reaction and observation. Just these two alone would be enough to make a big difference. For example, the wind spirit in the wind could not be threatened at all because of Yi Chen's existence. After saying that, Wuxia was a bit emotional. It had only been a while, and Yi Chen had already surpassed him. Brother Hai? Yin Fengfeng and Yi Chen looked at him. Yin Fengfeng actually wanted the 3 of them to split the 80%, since it was the first time after all, so there was no need to split it so clearly. Wuxia laughed. Don't say any more. I know what I am doing, but next time, I will fight for the distribution with my own power. Since that's the case, then so be it. Junior brother Yi, you don't have any objections, right? Xianhou thought more highly of Yi Chen, and Yin Fengfeng had been calling Yi Chen as her brother-disciple. And this brother-disciple of hers was indeed a bit exaggerated. She had to admit that if it were a battle of life and death, although she had more than 50% chance of winning, there was still a chance that she would be beaten by him. So it would be reasonable for them to get 30% each. Yichen shook his head. After deciding on the distribution ratio, the next step was easy. Everyone split up to pick the dragon blood grass. Everyone hoped that there would be more dragon blood grass. I have 6 here. I also have 6. 9. 8. Gathering all the plants together, Yin Fengfeng forced a smile. 29 plants in total. One more would be great. 30 stalks of dragon blood grass was a round number, and it was the easiest to distribute. How about this? Junior brother Ling and Guanqin will each get 3. Brother Hai, you get 6. Junior brother Yi, you get 9. I'll take 8. Yin Fengfeng had lost 1. Sister Yen, this is my first time here, so I will take 8, and you take 9. Yi Chen took the 8 plants and put them into his storage ring. Hee. Wuxia chuckled. Yi Chen was more like him. Yin Fengfeng also had a better impression of Yi Chen. There were indeed a lot of dragon blood plants, but it was not something that normal people could just give up on. But this was good as well. Everyone could live in peace, and there should not be any conflicts in the future. Next is the dragon bone jade marrow. The 5 lifted up their heads, and looked at that massive dragon skeleton. After Sea of Souls realm warriors died, there would be a chance for spirit power crystal stones to appear in their bones. After Life and Death realm warriors died, spirit power crystal stones would appear in their bodies as well. But of course, the quality would be way higher than Sea of Souls realm warriors. After the dragons died, their bones would form the dragon bone jade marrow. But after all these years, no one knew if the dragon bone jade marrow in this dragon skeleton had turned into fossils or not. Break. Yen Fengfeng threw out a palm attack toward the dragon skeleton. The dragon skeleton was no longer as tough as before. The only reason it could maintain its shape was because of the remnant dragon will. However, there was not much of it left. After the intense battle just now, most of it had already fallen apart. At this moment, Yen Fengfeng's palm slapped over, shattering the skeleton into pieces. The broken pieces of the dragon bones were all over the ground. On top of it, there was a pile of light with a blue halo, which was about the size of an egg. It is the dragon bone jade marrow. I did not expect it to still be here. It did not turn into a fossil. One dragon bone jade marrow. How should we split it? The dragon bone jade marrow was way more valuable than the dragon blood plants, so no one wanted to give it up. Yichen said, "Let's see what we can do. Everyone, please don't kill it." Yen Fengfeng nodded. "We will not fight for it." Ling Tianhao and Guan Qin forced a smile, knowing that they would not be able to win against the three of them. Shoo! Yen Fengfeng turned into a blue flame and shot out. Yichen was not slow either. 5 beams of sword light appeared around his body, flashing once as he followed right behind Yen Fengfeng. Meanwhile, Hai Wuya performed his sky ocean godly palm art, affecting the balance between Yen Fengfeng and Yi Chen. Then he reached out his hand, trying to grab the dragon bone jade marrow. The three were fighting against each other, and the chi flow spread out. Not good. What is going on? Such a powerful willpower attack. Hai Wuya's face turned pale as he was blown away. It is this dragon bone jade marrow. Yen Fengfeng frowned, stopping her body. Only Yichen was not afraid at all. He flew right next to the dragon bone jade marrow, reaching out his hand and sucking it over. It was a blue gem-like crystal stone, shining with a pure blue halo without any impurities. Grabbing it in his hand, Yichen could sense a powerful willpower spreading out, along with waves of energy vibration. "Brother Yi, congratulations. I did not expect this dragon bone jade marrow to contain such a powerful dragon willpower. Only you would be able to compete with it." Since he could not get it, Hai Wuya decided to let it go. Yen Fengfeng laughed. Losing a dragon blood plant and getting a dragon bone jade marrow. It seems like the world is fair after all. The fact that the dragon bone jade marrow contained the willpower of the dragon was something that Yi Chen had not expected. Thinking about it, the reason why the dragon skeleton was still standing was because of the dragon bone jade marrow. After playing with the dragon bone jade marrow for a while, Yi Chen flipped his palm and put it away. He chuckled. "Sorry, this dragon bone jade marrow is destined to be mine. With the dragon bone jade marrow, your defense would be at the top of the warriors at the same level. It would not be a weakness anymore. Sword artists usually had a weaker defense, and that was an undeniable fact. Let's go. Let's see if there are any other treasures." The dragon cave was huge, and they had only explored a small part of it. The first place to search was the crazy wind area. With Yi Chen there, the wind spirits inside would not be able to do anything to them. Soon, all 5 of them obtained some upper-rank wind essence stones. Wind essence stones were similar in value to fire cloud gems, and upper-rank wind essence stones were even rarer. Only when the wind elemental energy was extremely rich, and after thousands of years of blowing, could they be formed in the mountain rocks. After a whole day, the 5 of them had searched every corner of the cave and gotten a lot of treasures. They did not leave the cave until the morning of the second day. In the following days, the 5 continued to explore other places. For them, this once-a-year opportunity was very precious, since it was a big era right now. If one did not improve, others would. If one did not improve, one would fall behind. If they did not want to be eliminated, they would have to try their best to improve themselves. During this period of time, Yi Chen had finally stabilized his mid-Sea of Souls realm cultivation. He started to eat Earth Spirit pellets and Sky Spirit pellets to accumulate Jin Yuan. Earth Spirit pellets were rare pellets, and they had great effects. The Sky Spirit pellets were 3 times more effective than the Earth Spirit pellets. In just 1 week, Yi Chen had reached peak level mid-Sea of Souls realm from mid-Sea of Souls realm, and his Jin Yuan had thickened by 20%. It is time to leave. At the end of the moon, the evil qi in the air was getting thicker and thicker. One could even see it with their naked eyes, and it seemed to be corrosive as well. We have gained enough. With all these resources, it would be hard for us not to improve. Next time we meet, I hope everyone can improve as well. The 5 got on the flying ship and flew back the way they came. In front of the barrier, boom. Yen Fengfeng tore apart the barrier with 1 claw attack, and the flying ship shot out. So many people. What is going on? Once they got out, the 5 saw hundreds of people gathered on the flat ground not far away. Among them, the weakest ones were spirit warriors, and there were a lot of master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors as well. After all, this was the month where the evil qi was the weakest in the whole year, so a lot of people had made their way here. Since it was the last day of the month, everyone started to leave the place. Look, it is Tai Shichong. Someone is looking for trouble with him, Ling Tianhao said with a low voice. Let's go and have a look. Riding the flying ship, the 5 arrived above the crowd. There were a lot of people standing in the air, all of whom were master-level Sea of Souls realm warriors. Tai Shichong, you hurt my cousin, so you should know what the consequences will be. Standing in front of Tai Shichong was a young man who was about the same age as Yi Chen. He was wearing a long silver robe, and there was a long and narrow great blade on his waist. His fingers were long and powerful, and his finger bones were slightly protruding out. Although it was Tai Shichong, one of the top 3 young sword masters, judging from his attitude, he did not think much of him at all. It is Dugaju. I did not expect Dugaju to find Tai Shichong this fast. Dugaming is here as well. Hai Wuya was attracted immediately. He really wanted to know who was more powerful between Dugaju and Tai Shichong, since it had been a long time since Dugaju had fought. Tai Shichong sneered. Consequences? I am afraid you do not have the power to make me take the consequences. Once I take out my blade, there will be blood. Today, I will use your blood as a sacrifice for my blade. Dugaju's expression was cold, without any expression. Brother Taisher, teach him a lesson. On the side, Li Feng and Li Lei, who had not fully recovered from their wounds, sneered as they looked at Dugaju. A martial genius who had only reached the Sea of Souls realm for a year wanted to challenge Tai Shichong, who had been famous for many years and was one of the top 3 young sword masters. Cousin, he left a sword mark on my chest. You should leave one on his chest as well. Dugaming said viciously. Dugaju looked at Tai Shichong as his body shot up into the sky. Don't worry. I will leave something for him to remember. Tai Shichong, come up and fight. Dugaming yelled. Chapter 598. Dugaju's attitude had pissed Tai Shichong off. His expression turned colder and colder as he shot into the sky, staying 100 steps away from Dugaju. Dugaju, perhaps you have not lost a single battle in the young generation, but today, you will lose for sure. Arrogance will come with a price. Perhaps I will lose, but you do not have what it takes to make me lose. Only those with more potential than me can beat me. You are not qualified yet. Dugaju was just like Yi Chen, having never lost a single battle in the young generation. Even Dantai Mingyue, who was just as famous as him, could only fight him to a draw. He had an invincible heart. Although his power was not invincible, his heart was already invincible. The more confidence you have, the harder I will make you fall. Tai Shichong stared at Dugaju with his sharp eyes. On the ground and in the sky, hundreds of warriors could sense the battle intent and killing intent of the two. One of them was one of the top 3 sword masters, who had been famous for a long time. Among the young sword artists, he was only weaker than the head of the top 3 sword masters. The other was one of the top 2 martial geniuses of the Sky Martial region, Dugaju, who had never lost a single battle in the young generation. He was extremely talented, and he was a blade artist as well. Right then, it was the battle between Tai Shichong and Dugaju. It was also a battle between a sword artist and a blade artist. Everyone held their breath. Although Dugaju had not reached the Sea of Souls realm for long, he is still a monster after all. No one would dare to say that he would lose for sure. Wuxia mumbled to himself before glancing at Yi Chen. Yi Chen was also one of the top martial geniuses. Who will win or lose will depend on their achievements in the sword art or blade art. Yi Chen could tell that Dugaju was already at mid-Sea of Souls realm, and he had probably run into some special things in the past year. Of course, it might also be resources from the family, since a rank 5 family would be able to get some rare resources for one person. Dugaju, take this. Tai Shichong did not take out his sword. Instead, he jumped out and put his right index and middle fingers together, pointing out a sword finger at Dugaju's forehead. It was indeed the sword of heaven and earth. Chi! A huge sword shadow extended out. Tai Shichong, take out your sword. Dugaju unsheathed his long saber and swung it down. The pale white light of the saber shone upon everyone's heart. An ear-piercing exploding sound was heard, shaking the entire space. That pale white blade light had actually sliced open the sword shadow, bringing with it a despairing power as it attacked toward Tai Shichong. Tai Shichong's expression changed as he hurried to pull out his long sword, blocking in front of his chest. Clang! Tai Shichong was blown away. Who? Taking a deep breath, Dugaju's eyes turned even colder. This kind of coldness was not the coldness of an iceberg, but the coldness that made people despair. He gripped the saber with both hands, his knuckles protruding as he slashed down again. The deathly white saber radiance caused the heaven and earth to turn white. Those who were facing the edge of the saber felt a wave of discomfort and pressure. Mountain sword. Dugaju's power had shocked Tai Shichong, so he performed his ace attack immediately. That mountain-like sword shadow was like a shield, locking down the whole place. Crack! Dugaju's saber light was like a hot knife through butter, shattering Tai Shichong's sword shadow. How could he be so powerful? And this despairing power? Right then, Tai Shichong had already considered Dugaju as the biggest enemy of his life. The only thought in his mind was that he could not lose. A sword artist's willpower was extremely strong, so Tai Shichong soon cut away all the distracting thoughts in his mind and focused on the battle. He had thrown away all the honor and glory, only wanting to fight with Dugaju with his life. Unknowingly, his sword aura had become even more powerful, and his condition had broken through his limit. How could this Dugaju be so powerful? Even Tai Shichong could not do anything to him, and even seemed to be at a disadvantage. A lot of people had their eyes wide open. Yi Chen frowned, seeming to be thinking about something. Clang! 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 The sky was filled with the saber light and sword shadows. The battle between the two was like a tsunami. Water sword, heartless wave. His human figure rose into the sky as Tai Shichong held his sword with both of his hands and waved it out. That powerful sword power was endless like water. The ocean will dry up, and the stone will rot. What we will face is only despair. Dugaju waved out a pale white blade light. Wherever the blade light went, the mountain rocks were cracked open and turned into dust. Tai Shichong's sword power had also been used up soon, and its power had been greatly reduced. However, his face was reflected in the blade light, and there was a rare panic on his face. The saber light spread out, and Tai Shichong puked out a mouthful of blood before being blown away. Tai Shichong is not an opponent for Dugaju at all. It seems like it is wrong of us to judge monsters with our eyes. Wuxia sighed. A lot of people thought that Dugaju and Dantai Mingyue had only reached the Sea of Souls realm for a year, and they would need a couple of years to accumulate their power. But Dugaju had told them that within a year, he would be able to surpass a sword martial genius like Tai Shichong as well. It would not make sense to judge the martial geniuses with normal eyes. Since they were martial geniuses, they would be able to do things that normal people could not do. Yan Fengfeng said, Dugaju's saber art is a bit strange. It is indeed strange. It seems to be able to attack one's heart. Wuxia had the same feeling. Yi Chen did not say anything, All of his attention was on Duguju. Tai Shichong, you have disappointed me so much. I thought I could have a real battle, but you do not even have the right to make me use all of my power. Duguju's cold voice was heard toward Tai Shichong. His eyes turned red all of a sudden as Tai Shichong stood on top of a broken mountain. The sword chi on his body shot out into the sky, and his sword intent was actually increasing. It kept increasing until it reached peak level rank 4, which was only one step away from rank 5. Right then his spirit chi and soul had all been infused into his sword aura, aiming at Duguju from afar. Alright, I did not expect you to be able to make a breakthrough at this moment. No wonder you are one of the top 3 young sword masters. Duguju laughed, which was rare for him. Duguju, the moment I make a breakthrough will be the moment you lose. Take this. Shattering the mountain with one foot, Tai Shichong waved out a sword attack in the air. That circular sword power spread out like a tide, covering the entire sky. With the enhancement of his peak level rank 4 sword intent, this attack seemed to be even more complete. You making a breakthrough is a good thing for me. Only by defeating powerful warriors will it be meaningful. Duguju waved his blade at the incoming attack. The blade and sword clashed with each other, bringing up sparks everywhere. The two fought from the east to the west, from the west to the north, from the sky to the ground. It was easy to tell that the two were on par. And Duguju was not able to suppress his opponent right away. I did not expect this Tai Shichong to make a breakthrough. Down below, Dugu Ming frowned. Brother Ming, don't worry. Your cousin has never lost before in a situation where the power is the same. A couple of people next to Dugu Ming said. Yes, cousin will not lose. Dugu Ming's eyes brightened. This blade intent? Yi Chen gradually had an idea, and he seemed to be in deep thought. Above the lake, the battle between Duguju and Tai Shichong had messed up the lake water. Some of the beasts hiding at the bottom of the lake had been sliced into pieces by the blade light and sword light. Tai Shichong, you are now qualified enough for me to use my most powerful ace attack. Duguju's power was only slightly higher than Tai Shichong's, and now that Tai Shichong had made a breakthrough, the two were on par with each other. Without using his most powerful ace attack, he would not be able to beat his opponent. Tai Shichong's eyebrows were like swords as that powerful sword intent made his clothes flutter in the air, and even the space around him became blurry. Duguju, I still have to thank you for bringing my sword intent to the next level. The improvement of my sword intent had also made me understand the things that I could not understand before. Now, you will taste the consequences that you have brought upon yourself. Tai Shichong yelled with a low voice as his face turned red. That powerful sword intent continued to roll around, as if it had a mind of its own. His body shot out at a fast speed as he shook his wrist. That long sword was like an angry dragon, letting out a sky-piercing sword cry. Under my most powerful ace attack, you will only have despair. Duguju welcomed the incoming attack without any emotion. He held his blade with both of his hands and dragged it on the ground, splitting the lake water in half. Boom! Before the two clashed together, the lake water had already split into two sides, eventually rushing onto the shore and drowning a huge area of land. Thousands of meters deep mud was exposed. Flood. Tai Shichong's longsword that was like an angry dragon suddenly changed. The angry dragon brought up a huge wave, sweeping across the world. That ruthless sword power all rushed toward Duguju. Desperation blade. At the last moment, Duguju waved out his long blade. That pale white blade light turned into a white rainbow that pierced through the sky. All of the living beings were on it, their faces filled with despair. Indeed, it is the desperation element, the desperation blade intent. That sharp white rainbow had confirmed Yi Chen's guess. After waving out that sword attack, Tai Shichong was in a good condition. However, that blade attack from Duguju had made him fall to the bottom. His face was filled with despair, and there was only despair in his heart as well. I am going to die. This blade attack will kill me. No matter how I try to block it, I will die. Since it is useless to block it, then why should I block it? No. Tai Shichong screamed as he bit his tongue tip, and threw his long sword onto that pale white blade light. Chin. The two passed by each other. The lake water poured down, drenching Tai Shichong. Swoosh. A huge amount of blood poured out of Tai Shicheng's chest. That blade attack from Dugaju had gone through the longsword and wounded him. Right then, he felt like all of his internal organs had been twisted into a ball. This blade attack. Why did it make me feel despair? I am a sword artist, and a sword artist should not be affected by anything, not to mention when the power level is the same. Tai Shicheng's face was pale, and he looked like he had lost his soul. To be able to survive my desperation blade attack, you should be proud enough. Blood leaked out from the corner of Dugaju's mouth. That last sword attack from Tai Shicheng had wounded him as well. Of course, it was not as severe as Tai Shicheng's. It was only a light wound. Everyone who was watching the battle did not speak for a long time. Wuxia came back to his senses and looked at Yi Chen. Brother Yi, what did you mean by the desperation blade intent? Yi Chen said, my sword intent has the destruction element, while his blade intent has the desperation element. Naturally, it is called the desperation blade intent. The desperation blade intent combined with the unique blade movement can make the opponent feel despair. And when that happens, they might die. The destruction element was different from the desperation element. Desperation was a human emotion, and it could affect the opponent's mentality. However, the destruction element was not an emotion, so it could not do that. Chapter 599. Tai Shicheng has lost. Dugaju is indeed one of the top 2 martial geniuses. No matter what level he is at, he would not be weaker than anyone else. Right now, even Tai Shicheng, one of the top 3 young sword masters, had lost to him. Brotherly, you are wrong. He is not one of the top 2 martial geniuses but one of the top 3. Did you not hear about it? A couple of months ago, there was a guy named Yi Chen, who had left his name on the Sky Martial Pavilion's wall. Although he was ranked 3rd, but just like the 1st and 2nd, he had also made it through 7 levels. Perhaps he is older than Dugaju and Dantai Mingyue. Although age does not have much to do with talent, it would still affect him a bit. No, you are wrong again. Yi Chen's identity has already been investigated. He comes from a rank 7 martial school in the South Ridra region, and is highly valued by the Dragon King. Plus, he is not only not older than Dugaju and Dantai Mingyue, he is actually 2 years younger than them. What? Is that so? Doesn't that mean that when he reached the Sea of Souls realm, he was even younger than Xianhou? Indeed, calling him a martial genius would not be an exaggeration at all. Everyone who was watching started to discuss. Brother Yi, they are talking about you. Wuxia laughed. Yi Chen said lightly, these are all fake titles. Being famous does not mean that people would be afraid of you. On the contrary, if you do not perform well, your reputation would plummet immediately. You are right. Fake titles are also a kind of pressure. So many martial geniuses have been dragged down by fake titles and ended up with nothing. Yan Fengfeng said, this Dugaju is a blade artist. Perhaps it will not be long before he challenges Xiao Chuha, one of the top 5 young warriors. After Xiao Chuha had beaten Shen Qianlang, one of the top 3 master-level blade artists, he had become one of the new top 3 master-level blade artists. His reputation was way higher than Tai Shicheng, who was one of the top young sword masters. Only the head of the top young sword masters could compete with him. It is indeed very powerful. The despairing blade intent should be at rank 4, and its power is at rank 5 normal blade intent. His despairing blade attack is also close to the mid-rank profound sense blade art. Also, rumor has it that Dugaju has the dark spirit body, and he has trained the dark Jin Yuan, which is way more powerful than the normal Jin Yuan. The rank 5 blade intent was a bit weaker than Yi Chen's. His despairing blade attack could be considered a top martial art, but it would not be able to suppress Yi Chen. It was almost the same as Yi Chen's most powerful attack. The dark spirit body was a bit troublesome, since it was a rare body type. It was similar to Jing Aoshuan's thunder spirit body, and the dark Jin Yuan that he had trained would be more powerful than Yi Chen's Jin Yuan. Yi Chen did not have the confidence to beat Tai Shicheng. But of course, the chance of him losing was not that big either, only 50%. After this battle, Yi Chen had also seen Tai Shicheng's real power clearly. To be honest, Yi Chen had more than 60% confidence that he could beat Tai Shichong. His cultivation had increased a lot during this period of time, from peak level early Sea of Soul's realm to peak level mid Sea of Soul's realm. It was not a small improvement, since a warrior's power was basically divided into three parts: the cultivation, the willpower, and the profound sense. Before, Yi Chen's only advantage was the willpower, but now that his cultivation had caught up, he was only lacking the profound sense. But the sword intent was more than enough to make up for it. Therefore, the increase in his cultivation had brought his battling power to a whole new level. However, he estimated that he would still be slightly weaker than Yin Fengfeng. Up until now, Yi Chen had not seen Yin Fengfeng reveal her full battling power. Adding her insane speed, Yi Chen thought that she would be one of the top warriors, just below the top 5 young warriors. It was just that she had always been low-key, and would not take the initiative to challenge others. But of course, if others came to her, she would definitely kill them. Hai Wuxia sighed. The big era is coming, and no one wants to be left behind. The top 3 martial geniuses, endless top martial geniuses. This era would be even more intense than the previous ones. Wanting to go against the current would not be something that normal people could do. After beating Tai Shichong, Duguju's eyes suddenly looked in Yi Chen's direction, eventually locking onto Yi Chen's body. The one who revealed his rank 5 sword intent before should be him. When Duguju and Tai Shichong were battling, Yi Chen could not help but let out a bit of his sword intent. Those with willpower below rank 5 would not be able to sense it at all. However, Duguju's blade intent was at rank 5, so he was able to sense it. That bit of sword intent made Duguju feel threatened, since Dantai Mingyue seemed to be the only one who had reached rank 5 willpower among the young generation. Why is he looking at Yi Chen? Hai Wuxia looked confused. Duguju looked at Yi Chen from afar. I am Duguju. What is your name? Yi Chen. Yi Chen said lightly. What? He is Yi Chen. He is indeed so young. Everyone looked at Yi Chen together. Hearing him, a black light shot out from Duguju's eyes. You are Yi Chen? The news of Yi Chen passing 7 levels on the Wall of Fame in the Sky Martial Pavilion, and being on par with him, and Dantai Mingyue had already spread out, and he had only heard about it recently. Alright, Dantai Mingyue and I have been fighting for so many years, and finally, a new opponent has appeared. I hope you will not fall that fast. As you wish. Duguju smiled. Yi Chen's attitude was very calm, but he could feel that kind of strong confidence. All of a sudden, his expression turned cold, and there seemed to be a blade light shooting out from his eyes. The pale white illusory blade light split the sky and the earth, and the shadows of all living beings appeared on it. Yi Chen's expression did not change. The light in the depths of his eyes suddenly turned dark red, and the dark red illusory sword light shot out with a will that would kill anyone who stood in its way, and kill Buddha who stood in its way. In just one exchange, the shadows of all living beings on the white illusory blade light disappeared. In front of this sword intent that could slaughter the entire world, all living beings' despair was inevitable. Slaughter brought death. And how could the despair before death not exist? Pop! The blade intent and the sword intent clashed together, and a wave of willpower mixed with despair and slaughter spread out in all directions. Many people's faces turned pale, and they felt like their heads were about to explode. Slaughter sword intent. No wonder it is not afraid of my despair blade intent, and is even slightly stronger. Duguju frowned. The despair blade intent could affect the opponent's emotions, making them feel despair and wait for death. However, there were also people who could not be affected, such as those who had the slaughter sword intent. Of course, because of the different elements, the slaughter sword intent could not suppress the despair blade intent. You are qualified to be on the same level as me and Dantai Mingyue. However, a real battle would be way more intense than the one just now. A lot of people had ignored the details, and it was the details that would decide the outcome of the battle. Duguju was wounded, otherwise, he might have had a huge battle with Yi Chen. In a real battle, apart from the 3 basic aspects, which were cultivation, willpower and profound, there were also all kinds of talents, such as the body type. These were all major aspects. However, When most of the aspects were about the same, it would depend on the details, such as battling experience, battling skills, the awareness of death, and the potential to fight back. It could be said that it was very complicated to judge a person's power, especially for geniuses. As for those mediocre people and normal people, they would be judged by the three basic aspects. Yi Chen smiled lightly. Unfortunately, I am the kind of person who pays attention to details. I will remember your name. One day in the future, you and I will have to fight again. After saying that, Dugu Ju turned around and left. Dugu Ming and the others followed behind him. Hai Wuya looked at Dugu Ju's back and said to Yi Chen, "It seems like he values you a lot, and is not as arrogant as before." Yi Chen sighed, very scary. He is one of the scariest people I have ever seen in my life. Yi Chen was not afraid of people who were powerful or talented, but he was afraid of people who were strong in all aspects, had a strong mind, and paid attention to details. It could be said that Dugu Ju was a person who had almost no weaknesses. If he wanted to defeat him, he would have to fight fair and square. However, Yi Chen was indeed a little excited. The value of a person's existence was not in the gains, but in the challenges. Let's go. The battle had already ended, so there was no need to stay. Shoo! The flying ship broke through the sky and flew away. Flying Feather City, a medium-sized city in the Sky Martial region. Inside a manor, Yi Chen was practicing his martial arts on the massive training ground. This manor was rented. Because of the high mobility of warriors, some of the cities with special geographical locations were always full of restaurants. Some of the powerful warriors did not want to live in restaurants at all, preferring to live in manors or luxurious courtyards. But once they left, they would have to sell the manors right away, which was quite troublesome. Therefore, renting a manor was born. Renting would definitely be cheaper than buying one. But after a long time, renting would still be more profitable. After separating from Yin Fengfeng and the rest, Yi Chen came to the nearby Flying Feather City. He planned to stay here for a while to digest some of the enlightenment he had gained from his breakthrough. On the training ground, Yi Chen had sunk into an empty state, practicing his martial arts with weird postures. It was not a normal martial art. It was just a series of movements without any restrictions. As Yi Chen practiced each movement, a golden light appeared on Yi Chen's body. He threw out a punch, which also contained the sharpness of gold. His finger poked out, making a swishing sound, but he did not use any Jin Yuan or willpower at all. After reaching the Sea of Souls realm, each breakthrough would bring me a new enlightenment. I did not expect that after reaching the mid-Sea of Souls realm, the first enlightenment would be the Gold Profound. The Sea of Souls realm was no longer a normal human being. It was somewhere between a normal human being and a celestial being. Therefore, once one's cultivation made a breakthrough, there would be a split second of being one with nature, and the enlightenment of the profound would reach an unimaginable level. When he had just reached the mid-Sea of Souls realm, Yi Chen's gold resonant radiance sword art had already reached 110%. Shoo! Shoo! Each of Yi Chen's movements had a golden light flowing around his body. It was a phenomenon that could only happen when the gold profound had reached an extremely high level. Gold resonant radiance sword art. Putting up his right hand's index and middle fingers, Yi Chen used his finger as a sword and sliced through the air. Boom! A bright gold light wave shot out, its edge having a sawtooth shape. Only a loud sound was heard as a huge crack appeared on the training ground. The crack was thin on both ends and thick in the middle, looking like a shuttle. It was quite different from the normal gold resonant radiance sword art. 130%. I have almost reached my limit. After learning the profound, even if one did not use his Zhen Yuan or willpower, the profound would still absorb the natural Yuan Qi. Performing the gold profound would absorb the natural Yuan Qi, which was quite powerful. Therefore, even if Yi Chen had lost all of his Zhen Yuan and willpower, he would still be at the same level as a clasping Yuan realm warrior. Taking a deep breath, Yi Chen stopped moving. After 3 days, I have finally digested all of my enlightenment and turned it into the real gold profound. Now, I can train the dragon blood plants and the dragon bone jade marrow. Yi Chen had gotten 8 dragon blood plants and 1 dragon bone jade marrow. 8 dragon blood plants would allow him to train 8 beams of dragon power, and 1 dragon bone jade marrow would be able to train at least 3 to 4 beams of dragon power, which would be dozens of beams of dragon power in total. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.